folks, Donald Trump has released the Epstein files, not to the public as you would think, because that would be, silly and irresponsible. He would never do something like that. He actually released it to a hand-picked selection of conservative influencers. That's how you know he's taking this seriously. And it was people like Mike Cernovich, the Libs of TikTok lady, DC Drano, a few, the usual suspects that you'll see and stuff like this. And you can see these conservative influencers here. Here's a few of them holding up these binders. And the binders say the Epstein files phase 1, intrigue. There's going to be more, clearly. And they're smiling from ear to ear because they're dealing with the hilarious topic of child rape. They couldn't be happier. Like, look at these guys. And so that's when I saw this embarrassing display, like it's I would say it hit a new low, but I don't know. I think there have been lower points. But anyway, when I did see it, my immediate thought was, okay, there's nothing in those binders, like or at least nothing that we haven't already seen before. There's no way that this is a production. This is something that's meant to put on a show for the rubes out there. And you don't have to take my word for it or take my speculation for it, because Liz Wheeler, who was one of the influencers who got that binder, said the exact same thing. And I'm going to play a clip of what she said after she got this binder. So here we go. Here's what Liz Wheeler's got to say.
Hey, I'm in the airport, but I wanted to jump on here because this stuff is blowing up, as it should be. And I wanted to open the Epstein files binder and show you what's in it, because this whole exercise is about transparency. And I wanted to address some of your concerns, but I want to start with what happened this morning. So this morning I was at the White House meeting with President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance and Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. And they presented us with, let me show you. They presented us with a couple of things that I want to show you. And you'll have to forgive the background. We are right now in the airport. And they presented us with this binder. Now, this is the binder that I posted a picture of. You saw that. Millions of people saw that. It says on the front, the Epstein Files Phase 1 by order of Attorney General Pamela Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel, the most transparent administration in history, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Now, what's interesting is we're all waiting for bombshells. We're all waiting for juicy stuff. And that's not what's in this binder. That's not what's in this binder at all. And that's exactly how the Attorney General presented it to us. She handed us this binder and she said, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has given me an order to declassify the Epstein files. And I have been quickly working on doing just that because we want to be the most transparent administration in history. We know that as of a week ago, she went on, I believe it was Fox News, and said that she had the Epstein files on her desk. And when I think it was Jesse Waters asked her, well, is there anything, have you found anything juicy yet? She said, not yet. So her message to me when she handed me this binder was, we expected to release bombshells. We expected to find the dark stuff, the dirty stuff, the names of the people that were involved in what Epstein was doing. And when these files were put on my desk and she was relating how she looked through them. She said, it wasn't what I was expecting. And I said, is this it? Is this it? And she said, something is not right here. Now, just because she had that feeling, she still wanted to not only fulfill the president's order to release these, she wanted to do it in a timely manner. And so they prepared this binder. They were going to release what's in this binder, and I'll show you what's in it.
All right. So as we can see, nothing burger. There's nothing there at all. It is full of a bunch of documents that were either already publicly available. There's a lot of information available about Jeffrey Epstein, including his flight logs, which have Donald Trump's name on them, for 4 or 5 times, if I remember correctly, and information that's ancillary or inconsequential to the case. So, John, were you surprised to hear that this is absolutely nothing in there?
Least surprising news I've heard all day, TJ. Here's the thing. First of all, a lot of times when I speak on this show, I'm speaking from a place that I actually don't have much experience. I'm fairly well read in a lot of political stuff, but I don't have experience actually running a party. I'll play Monday morning quarterback. Something I do have experience in is making political content. And let me tell you, That just annoys me because that was the most boring thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If I actually was like making the, she didn't even try. She didn't even try to make it like, hey, we're gonna have a catchy intro. We're gonna make sure that we make this content good. No, she's just talking to the camera, and she gets to meet with Donald Trump because she's not gonna push him too hard, which, you know, it's just a personal annoyance. It's so much easier to be a conservative grifter. Like, we all know this, but like, oh my God, at least try. At least try.
John, you're not factoring in that she's a pretty blonde woman. Like that's worth a lot in the conservative media sphere.
It is maybe the most valuable thing when it comes to like saying news. And this is definitely a thing with Donald Trump, but it's been a thing with conservatives for a long, long time. The only qualification to tell the news is a willingness to lie and being a pretty blonde woman.
Yeah.
What do you think, Serafina? Shocked, surprised, appalled?
I just don't see the point, honestly. I'm trying to figure out like what's the point of all of this? Why are we like why for what? I don't know. I guess I'm not too I'm pretty like I dive into politics pretty often if I can, but I'm not like too like vested into it, and so maybe I just don't understand, but I'm like, what's the point to doing this? Like,
yeah.
I don't understand what was the reason.
Serafina, it's funny you say that because there was someone else who produces content, who dives into politics occasionally, but maybe not necessarily the main draw of his content. And unlike you, who's on the right side of the aisle, one Dave Portnoy. And if anyone who doesn't know who Dave Portnoy is, he is the founder and creator of Barstool Sports. And if you don't know what that is, congrats on never going to a frat party. But the what he tweeted today was very interesting. I thought it was a little bit of a crack because he said, if I'm going to be fair, these questions need to be asked today. Why is the release of the Epstein list always a shit show? What's the point of booting out illegals and criminals while somehow becoming a safe haven for the Tate brothers? Why is crypto in the toilet if Trump is crypto king? How far does Tesla stock have to crash before Elon goes back to work? It's beginning to crack. The veil of cognitive dissonance can only be stretched so thin. And the rate at which they are shooting this bullshit out without any real strategy to it, it's going to start cracking the foundations. And I do fear that when that happens, the response is going to be in the form of violence. But I also think that this organization is incompetent and that they really don't know what we're doing any more than we know what they're doing. Like, I genuinely think the reason you're confused is because they're confused. And they're all just trying to capture headlines as constantly as possible and keep Big Daddy Trump happy. TJ, do you think I'm being a little too optimistic that we're starting to see cracks here?
No, I've seen a few myself. And to answer Serafina's question in the beginning of like, what is this for? So, unfortunately, Serafina, you haven't run into this with political content with people on the far right. People on the far right are obsessed with conspiracy theories, and every now and then a conspiracy theory is true. Like or you know, like Gulf of Tonkin. What's it? What's the one with the mind control?
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, yeah, those actually are. Those conspiracy theories are real. Or one that seems like it could plausibly be real, that Epstein did not kill himself. And they become obsessed with this. And of course, they've been fed this nonsense that everyone they disagree with is a pedophile. We've all been called a pedophile at some point just for having a left-wing view or saying that trans people deserve to be treated with love, kindness, and respect, and not, you know, visceral hatred and suspicion. Like, just saying that will get you accused of being a child predator. Yeah. So when the Epstein thing, they think there's this treasure trove of information that will you know, assuage all their doubts and support all of their accusations that all these people they know or that they hate are child predators. And Trump knows this. Trump has been riding this wave for a long time. So he's got to do something to give them the breadcrumbs, because they've been saying he's the white hat out there. The white hat. He's been out there fighting these people. So it's like, okay, I got to give him something, because he doesn't want to give them everything, obviously. I mean, he's just not going to do it. So he's hoping that this show, which is why he did the phase 1 thing. These are articles they already have. This is information they have. They have the flight logs. They have the court records. It has been years. It has been years since this happened. So any due diligence that you would need to take to redact the names of the victims and such, okay, that makes sense. Already been done. It's already happened. So releasing it to the public would be what you did if you had nothing to hide, or if you actually wanted it done. He doesn't want it done. He wants to continue this show. He wants this pageantry and stagecraft to continue for months and months on end until people stop asking. Oh my God. You want to read this or should I, John?
I will read it since he kind of addressed me. So Mark, our favorite conservative listener, said, did you kids not see the letter that Bondi sent to Patel about the New York FBI holding out? There are more files out there. John wanted files released and they're releasing them and he's not happy. Tough crowd. Mark, I hate to break it to you, but Lucy ain't going to hold that football. You're going to kick it. You're going to miss. You're going to swing. You're going to land on your ass. There's no way we ever see the full complete list of unredacted Epstein files with his entire client list on it. There's no way. It's not going to happen. And you know what? If it does happen, I will be very happy. I will happily sit here and say I was wrong, but it's not going to happen because I'm pretty darn sure Donald Trump is on the list, but even if he isn't, I'm 1,000% sure some of his buddies are. And there's no way he's causing that much. Why wouldn't he have done it? The FBI, the local FBI agent holding out? This is the problem. This is why the cracks are forming, because the entire MAGA campaign, the entire political ideology is about opposition. And now that they're in charge, they're going to get bored of, just saying retard a bunch.
Yeah.
Eventually. And like soon that honeymoon phase is going to be over and they're like, who are we going to be mad at? Oh, these random unnamed FBI agents who are holding out this list. They're outsmarting the most powerful man in the world. Who would have thought? Like, trust me, I work with the Democrats. They do this shit all the time. Like, we understand when they're gonna pull the football. They do it all the time. Oh, we're gonna codify Roe into law. Okay, buddy, sure you will. That's how you should feel about these Epstein files right now.
Mark, I have to ask you. I didn't see this letter that Bondi sent to Kash Patel, but it said, "Hey, the New York FBI is holding out." What are you talking? What does that even mean? Like, someone tell me who's in charge of the FBI in New York? The state of New York or the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Well, who actually has authority there? They can't hold out. I guess the other could have been asking, hey, crack down on your guys. They're not playing ball. But who would be stopping them? You know what? Fine.
Also, TJ, I just have to point this out. If that were the case, if you know that they're holding out, why would you release this binder to these influencers without all the information? Like, why would you not just wait until you had all of the information? This is like week 3. Like, if you're waiting already, if it's not a day 1 thing, you might as well wait a couple more days, because right now, what's the deadline here? Like, at what point are you gonna be like, yeah, actually, it doesn't make sense they haven't released the list yet, because it's gonna be sometime between now and 4 years from now.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot closer to now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of conservatives, more than I expected, saying this is ridiculous. This is a waste of time. And it'd be one thing. It would be one thing if the Trump administration published on pervert.gov. Here you go. Boom. Here is all the perverts that we found on this list. Here are their flight records. Here's what Epstein said, and just released to the public. That would be one thing. That's not what happened. He picked half a dozen conservative influencers, gave them these binders that they've specially prepared to be held up, told them to go out, smile for the camera, put on this show, and let everyone know, oh, wow, look, we're really doing something. That is offensive. That if people who actually take this seriously, like, if you were a conservative, you should be embarrassed. Like, Donald Trump
Imagine if you were a victim.
Or like Donald Trump is publicly insulting your intelligence to a greater degree than usual, and just like, oh wow, it's part 1. Stay tuned, to be continued. Like, this is a fucking joke. And once again, they did not show up dressed up like that and smiling and cheesing for the camera, holding those binders on accident. This is a fucking show. And you're right, John. Like, this is a serious topic. Like, a lot of conservatives, I was kind of surprised to see the actual self-reflection here. I said, why are you guys smiling? Like, what is so funny about this? Oh, go ahead, Serafina.
Yeah, it's just, I'm with you with the whole part one stay tuned thing. It feels like they're screaming for attention. Like look at me, look at me, look at me, look at this thing that we're doing, look at this thing. It makes me feel like they're trying to distract us from something, but I feel like at the same time they're not that smart. And so they're not I feel like they're just doing shit to maybe they're distracting us from the fact that they don't really have a plan and they don't really know what they're doing, and they're kind of just like, let's just throw some shit out here. Let's just throw some stuff out here to get people to be up and rise or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I see stuff like this and literally all I can think of is this is why other countries laugh at us. Like, this is the shit that we're putting out. These are the things that we're doing. Like, it's just, it's insane. And like you said, like, what about the victims? What about the people who've actually been affected by this for real? Like, it just feels it feels like a show. It feels like I'm watching like a circus show or something crazy. And it's like, these are the people who are supposed to be our like leaders. We're supposed to be the ones who are over everything and all of this. And it just feels so stupid. I feel like I'm not, like, is this real life right now? I feel like I'm not on planet Earth, or like I'm not in, I don't even know. It's just such like an out of body experience. Like, what the fuck is even going on right now? Like, I don't even know. I'm sitting here and I'm just like, what is this? Like, people are struggling out here, like genuinely struggling. And this is like the thing that they're like, oh, let's put on a big show and do this, that, and the third. And this is only part one. You know, we got part 2 and part 3 coming out and all of that. And it's just like, yeah. Like, we got real issues. We got real issues to tackle. Like, what the fuck even is this?
You are describing the problem with right-wing populism, because the populism is generally good. It's not always good. There's times when it leads us astray, don't get me wrong, but like, it's generally good. The problem with right-wing populism is that they're wrong. Is that the things that they think will improve their lives are wrong. And they actually truly believe in it. Like, the reason that we're seeing some conservatives crack over this is because they genuinely believed that Donald Trump was their white hat, like TJ said. They genuinely believed that Donald Trump was going to release this list. And they've been waiting. And he's making a joke about it. Very clearly making a joke about it. Like, this is the level of clickbait of like, it was like, it went out of fashion, but for like a whole year, there was those TikToks where it was like, we're going to string you along for a minute here with part 1, and then right before the thing you've been waiting for happens, oh, you got to go to our profile and follow us to get to part 2. That was a huge trend like 2-3 years ago, and like, that's exactly what this is. And he's doing it with something that people actually genuinely, something that he said, I'm going to do this for you. You genuinely care about this. And that's just what's going to happen over and over and over and over again, because he doesn't actually have solutions to people's problems. He just said he did. And eventually, when the people's problems don't get solved and they in fact get worse, we're going to see some infighting. I don't know who's going to be the first egg to crack. I don't know who's going to be the first big name to go anti-Trump, but it's going to happen. And at the rate we're going, it's going to happen soon. What do you think, DJ?
I think you're correct that, I mean, eventually stuff like this will piss people off because I think they'll find it more annoying than anything else. I think that the actual crack would have to be something bigger. But what Serafina was saying, I've heard this a lot with Trump because he keeps doing this shit. John and I have discussed this many times about the Gulf of America, or, hey, I want to make Greenland a state, or, just, hey, here's a bill saying that we should have the U.S. Mint put Donald Trump's face on a $250 bill. Let's carve Trump into Mount Rushmore. And people will refer to this like, well, this is clearly a distraction from the bad stuff that they're doing. The only problem I have with that way of thinking is that they don't seem particularly scared of talking about the bad stuff they're doing, right? I mean, they will gladly tell you, yeah, we are cutting billions of dollars of Medicaid. Yeah, we would love to do something like that. And so to me, I see it as less of a distraction and more as of like a pacification, that this is something that you really like. So you want the red meat, here's a slice of it, you know, to try to keep you happy for a little while. I just think that this was executed so poorly that I don't think anyone's going to actually be happy with this. They're like, this is a waste of time. If you could, like, this information is already available, go ahead and put it out.